I was sipping my latte by the window of my apartment, the soft morning sun painting golden streaks across the polished hardwood floors. Outside, the city hummed with its usual chaos, but inside, everything felt deliberate, controlled, like me. My phone buzzed on the marble countertop, and I glanced down to see a message from my mom. "Don't forget your brother's party tonight." A lump formed in my throat. Every year, my birthday went unmentioned, quietly tucked between invitations for my brother's extravagant celebrations. The irony never failed to sting. I pulled my silk blouse tighter around my shoulders, as if armor could shield me from the memory of past disappointments. I leaned back, watching the steam curl from my cup. Part of me wanted to reply, "Thanks for noticing again." But pride held my tongue. I had learned long ago to protect myself, to hold my worth close, even if the world, including my family, chose to ignore it. The doorbell rang, jolting me. Another surprise, another celebration. I thought, wary. Maybe tonight would be like every other year. Me, the invisible sister, and him, the center of attention, basking in applause and gifts. But there was a flicker of something different this time, a quiet whisper inside me telling me that tonight might finally be the night I didn't just watch from the shadows. I remember my 16th birthday as if it were yesterday. The smell of vanilla cake lingered in the air, but it wasn't for me. It was for him. My brother, Tyler, had friends over, balloons bobbing cheerfully around the living room, laughter echoing off the walls. And me? I was in the kitchen, quietly slicing vegetables for the party snacks, invisible in a world that seemed only to orbit him. My hands shook, not from the knife, but from the sting of being overlooked yet again. Every year, it was the same ritual, his birthday celebrated with fanfare, mine barely acknowledged, a forgotten footnote in the family calendar. My mom smiled at him, ruffled his hair, and didn't even glance my way. I swallowed hard, trying to push the lump in my throat down, but tears threatened to betray me. It was my grandmother who noticed. She had a warmth that cut through the coldness I felt from the rest of my family. Sitting beside me on the countertop, she brushed a stray hair behind my ear and whispered, "Celebrate yourself first, Emily. The world will notice soon enough." Her voice was gentle but firm, and I held onto those words like a lifeline. That night, after the party had died down, I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My eyes were red, my chest tight, but for the first time, I made a promise to myself. I would step out of the shadows. I would build a life where my worth wasn't measured by who got the attention or who received the gifts. I remember packing a small duffel bag with a few things I could call mine: my journal, a photo of my grandmother, and the necklace she had given me. It was a simple silver chain, a symbol of strength and belief in myself. That night, I didn't just go to bed. I plotted my escape, not from home, but from the pattern of being unseen. That quiet resolve became the spark that would ignite every step of my journey, though I couldn't know yet how far it would take me. I left home with nothing but that silver necklace and a quiet determination to prove that I wasn't invisible. The city outside my tiny studio apartment was vast, indifferent, and terrifying, but it was mine to conquer. I worked odd jobs at first, waiting tables, typing up reports for small businesses, anything that paid the rent. Each night, I returned to my apartment exhausted, the hum of the street below mingling with the soft glow of my desk lamp. It was during one of those late nights that I met Clara, a seasoned marketing executive who saw something in me I hadn't fully recognized myself. She noticed the meticulous way I organized data, the creative spark I brought to simple tasks, and she didn't dismiss it. "You've got talent, Emily. Don't hide it," she said, handing me a business card. It was an offer to freelance for her clients, a chance to step out of the shadows without anyone dictating my worth. The first few months were brutal. I would spend hours perfecting campaigns that barely paid, second-guessing every decision, questioning if I was good enough. There were nights when I cried at my desk, curling around the edge of the chair, whispering the words my grandmother had told me years ago: "Celebrate yourself first." Slowly, that whisper became a mantra. And then, small victories came. My first big client, a boutique fashion brand, called me back, asking for more work. My first freelance paycheck that exceeded my rent made me cry tears of relief and triumph. Each milestone, no matter how minor, was a brick in the foundation of the life I was building for myself. I kept most of it secret from my family. Social media updates were sparse and curated, giving only glimpses. A picture of my office window at sunrise, a coffee cup next to my laptop, a caption about staying focused. I didn't want anyone to know the full extent of my progress, especially those who had once overlooked me. It was a quiet rebellion, a personal victory that belonged solely to me. Over the years, I expanded my business, hired my first assistant, and moved into an office that overlooked the skyline. The silver necklace remained around my neck, now resting against silk blouses and tailored blazers, a constant reminder of the promise I made to myself. Success had come slowly, painfully, and on my own terms. But it had come, and for the first time in my life, I felt seen, not by them, but by myself. I had built a world where my name mattered, where my ideas mattered, and where my birthday, finally, would never be forgotten again, by me, at least. The invitation arrived a week before my birthday, my mother's idea of a family gathering to celebrate Tyler's latest promotion. I almost didn't go. The thought of sitting quietly, smiling, while he took the spotlight, made my chest tighten. But I decided to attend, not for them, but for the closure I knew I needed. When I arrived, the house was buzzing with familiar chaos, Tyler laughing with friends, balloons dangling from the ceiling, the smell of fresh flowers in every corner. I stepped inside calmly, letting my heels click against the polished hardwood, drawing subtle attention without saying a word. The room shifted as eyes landed on me. My mother's smile faltered, just slightly, and Tyler froze mid-laugh. The difference wasn't just in my clothes or the poise I carried. It was the aura of someone who had claimed her place in the world. I gestured politely to a friend of mine who had accompanied me, a woman in her own right, confident and composed. The room, so used to seeing me fade into the background, suddenly seemed smaller, almost claustrophobic. I let them look. I let them take it all in. The gleam of my watch, the subtle elegance of my tailored blazer, the tasteful artwork lining the hallway, pieces I had chosen myself over the years, each one a reminder of a life I had built from nothing. I let the silence stretch, letting the tension thicken before I spoke. "Happy birthday to me," I said softly but firmly. "And I thought you should all know, this year, I'm celebrating differently." Tyler's eyes widened. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. I let a pause linger, letting them squirm in uncertainty. Then I continued. "I've started my own company. I'm financially independent. I've built a team, an office, and a life where my work matters. My name is on every contract, every achievement. And yes, I've been celebrating my birthday every year, on my own terms, because I realized long ago that the only person who truly needed to acknowledge me was me." The room went still. Conversations halted. Tyler's friends exchanged confused glances, whispering. My mother, who had once prided herself on orchestrating the perfect family image, now looked shocked, almost guilty. "Emily, we didn't know," she started, her voice faltering. I smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was calm, controlled, powerful. "Now you do," I said. "And that knowledge comes with responsibility. From this point forward, I don't want to be overlooked, and I don't want my worth measured by who gets more attention in this family." I let them absorb it. I let the surprise, the shame, and the astonishment settle over them like a thick fog. For the first time, I was the one holding the center of the room, not fading into the corners, not waiting for acknowledgement that never came. This time, I was seen. Not by my family alone, but by myself, and that was enough. The room was silent after my revelation. Tyler shifted uneasily, and my mother's eyes darted around, searching for words. But I didn't rush. I had worked too hard, fought too long, and I wasn't about to let anyone undo my victory with apologies alone. This was my moment, and I intended to use it wisely. "I've built a life I'm proud of," I began, letting each word land deliberately. "And I'm willing to share a part of it with you, but only on certain terms. You need to understand that old patterns don't get a second chance here. My mother's shoulder stiffened, but I continued. First, Tyler, if you want to be part of this world I've created, you need to respect the effort, not just the rewards. Complaining or expecting favors won't work. You have potential, but it has to be earned. Tyler's mouth opened and closed. I ignored him. Mom, I said, turning to her. You need to stop measuring love through grand gestures that exclude others. Learn to acknowledge effort, even when it's quiet. And yes, that includes me. I won't be the invisible daughter anymore. I let my gaze sweep the room, letting my calm authority settle over them. Then I added, if you choose to follow these terms, I will help, mentorship, opportunities, guidance. But if not, I'm done making space for old mistakes. There was a pause, the kind that stretches seconds into eternity. I could see the weight of my words sinking in, the realization that the game had shifted. The dynamic we'd always known, one where I was overlooked, undervalued, and pushed aside, was gone. I was in control now, not out of revenge, but out of necessity. I emphasized one last point. Every action you take from now on has to reflect growth, not entitlement. Dreams require effort. Relationships require honesty. And birthdays? They require attention to the people who matter, not just the ones who grab the spotlight. Tyler nodded slowly, and my mother's eyes glistened, not with tears of guilt, but of recognition. They were beginning to understand that respect wasn't given, it was earned, and I had earned mine the hard way. As I stood there, I felt a quiet satisfaction, a sense of justice that was tempered with compassion. I wasn't here to punish. I was here to redefine, to set boundaries, to show that love, support, and acknowledgement could coexist with expectation and accountability. For the first time, I realized something crucial. Power isn't about dominance, it's about setting terms that honor your worth. And I had never been more ready to let them step into a world where I held the map. Weeks passed after that night, and slowly, I began to see change, not just in my family, but in the way I viewed myself. Tyler stopped expecting attention as a birthright. He asked for advice on his own projects, listened when I spoke, and even celebrated my small victories with genuine pride. My mother, too, began noticing effort in quiet ways, a congratulatory text, a genuine smile at my accomplishments, a hand on my shoulder that no longer felt like a chore. I realized the real transformation wasn't theirs, it was mine. For years, I had defined myself by their approval, their neglect, and the invisible lines they drew. But now, I could finally measure my worth on my own terms. That silver necklace, the gift my grandmother had given me years ago, rested against my collarbone like a badge of triumph. Every time I touched it, I remembered her words, "Celebrate yourself first." I took time to reflect in my apartment, sunlight spilling over my desk, coffee steaming in my favorite mug. The journey had been painful, lonely, and at times terrifying, but it had made me who I was today. A woman who knew her value, who set boundaries, and who had the courage to demand acknowledgement without apology. I began mentoring young women in my industry, sharing my story of invisibility, perseverance, and triumph. I saw the spark ignite in them, the same spark that had driven me to leave home, fight for my independence, and ultimately claim my place in the world. That, I realized, was the true gift, taking the pain of being overlooked and transforming it into a beacon for others. On the morning of my birthday, I didn't wait for a party, a card, or a call. I poured myself a glass of champagne, lit a candle, and looked out at the city skyline. I smiled, feeling the warmth of pride and the quiet hum of victory. For the first time, I celebrated fully, not because anyone else noticed, but because I finally did. And as I raised my glass to myself, I whispered softly, with a strength that carried decades of endurance, growth, and grace. This year, I am seen. I am celebrated. I am enough.